Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to all of you who've been here before. If you are new here, hi, my name is Christy. I also go by Mama Lee. I do a lot of live streaming when it comes to video games and things of that nature. So a lot of people know me as Mama Lee, but that's over on my Facebook Live page. I, over here on YouTube, have been doing readings of the killers and survivors from Dead by Daylight. If you haven't seen the other videos from before, make sure you go check them out. If you are into this kind of stuff, or just the randomness that is my life, you can hit subscribe and come hang out with me whenever you want. If you have ideas that you want to see, feel free to leave them in the comments too. Let's get into it. I have been gone for a little bit, okay? Whoops. My bad. I had a lot going on. The holidays, all of that fun stuff, because it's July. So I left off with reading about the pig, I believe. And I only have so many actual killers left. So I think I have 10 in total left to read from four. Nah. By the way, don't forget that this is live recorded. So even though you're seeing it after I've recorded it, I don't do any editing. You basically get what you get. So with that being said, remember, sometimes I trip over my words. Sometimes I don't know the word. But it won't be that bad, I promise. At least I don't think so. Anywho, let's get to it. I left off with the pig, and I'm actually going to be reading about the trapper, the wraith, the hillbilly, the nurse, and the huntress today. And then the next video that I do will be the hag, the doctor, and then we're going to move on to Freddy, cannibal, and the shape. I think I was supposed to go on to Freddy today, but we're going to put that off for as long as we can because Freddy scares the bejesus out of me. So we're going to start out with the trapper. I think he was one of the first actual characters that Dead by Daylight had in the game. His difficulty level is easy. The trapper really is easy. When you play Dead by Daylight, which is what this is about, you really don't have to what they call camp. So you the killer, have to kill 4 survivors, and that's basically your goal, is making sure that nobody survives the match. So with the trapper, you get actual bear traps that you put all over the map, and that's how you catch your survivors or victims, and they're everywhere. He is not a very slow moving person. He's super easy to use. So sitting there hanging out by one body is just a really crap ass tactic if you're using him as killer, because you're not using your full potential. And if that's what you want to do and you want to be a camper, so be it. But if you're just staying by that body, there's so many missed opportunities. Set your traps and haul booty. So he's really great to use. I personally don't use him myself, even though he is an easy killer, but it's only because I actually prefer the shorter killers. So I do like Nemi. That is a lot of fun. Nemi's a lot of fun. But I like the shorter killers. I like to be in the same level of height as the survivors because that's the vision I'm used to. So the bigger killers do get to see more, but for me, they're harder to use. So I tend not to stick with those. I did bring my water this time, again. That way, hopefully, I won't be too hoarse after the readings, because I did just come off of a 5-hour live stream of Zelda's Ocarina of Time. Sorry, I'm taking the wrapper off of this. So, bear with me. And this isn't a whole lot of reading this time. These 5 characters should be pretty quick. And again, forgive me about the words. So, he's got a bunch of good of perks and things of that nature, and he's not from a chapter. He's actually originally from the game itself. So there's no movie or anything that he's a part of. All right, let's begin. Evan McMillan idolized his father. It wasn't just that he was heir to a great fortune, it was the way he ran the estate. Raised under his firm hand, Evan had taken to running the workforce with an iron fist. Production was always high, and the McMillan estate prospered under father and son. As Archie McMillan's mental health slowly degenerated, Evan protected him from the herd who wanted a piece of the fortune. No matter what his father asked of him, Evan would do it. When Archie McMillan finally snapped, Evan became his enforcer in what would become known as the worst mass murder in modern history. They never proved that Evan led over 100 men into those dark tunnels before detonating the explosives and sealing them to their fate. The tale of the McMillan estate is a tale of wealth and power gone very wrong. How many victims fell to the hands of father and son is unknown. No record was ever made of what became of Evan McMillan. His father is another unsolved puzzle, found in the basement of his own warehouse, dead and abandoned. That sucks. Maybe, who knows? Okay, my assumption is going to be that Evan saw some of the workers kill his dad. Maybe his dad went a little irate, so that's why he killed all of them, because he felt like his dad was betrayed because he was mentally unstable. I don't know. Throwing the assumption out there. Take from it what you must. Alright, so the next killer that we're going to move on to is going to be the Wraith. We like to call the Wraith Bing Bong, and we as in a lot of the players who've been playing for a while, because when you play with this character, as he can go clear and unclear, or I wouldn't really say clear, I'd say translucent, but he can basically disguise himself with a translucent type of cloak. You can actually see him if you keep your eyes open for a blurry blob. But every time he comes in from being clear and out from being clear or translucent, or cloaked, whatever, he makes a bing bong type sound. It's like a bong bong, like he's, I don't know, like he has a cowbell or something. But yeah, he basically has, oh yeah, see, they call it a cloak, but he's a cool character. I've never actually read his story, so here we go. Character info on the Wraith. He's an intermediate difficulty when it comes to killer. He's also another killer that is straight from Dead by Daylight creators. Backstory. Philip Ojamo came to this country without anything other than hope for a new beginning. He was happy as he got offered a job at Autohaven Wreckers, a small scrapyard where bribed cops turned a blind eye to the somewhat shady business that took place. Ojamo didn't care. He had been a criminal. He had seen, okay, let's back up. He had seen criminal activity up close in his homeland, and as long as he didn't get involved, he let things be. He just fixed cars and handled the crusher, something he did really well. A car went in, a small metallic cube came out. It was not until one gloomy day that he, just by accident, saw some blood coming from one of the uncrushed cars. As he opened the trunk, he found a young man, gagged, with tied hands and panic-filled eyes. Ojamo freed the man, who managed to run 10 feet before Ojamo's boss stopped him and slit his throat. As Ojamo demanded answers, he was explained that he had been nothing more than a simple executioner, as more or less every car had a soul in them. This was a service the scrapyard provided to certain clients. Ojamo snapped and went ballistic. He threw his boss in the crusher and let it slowly compress. As the head stuck out, Ojamo grabbed it and pulled the head with the spine out of the body. Then he left, and he was never seen again. I'd be pissed too, making me kill people when I don't want to. And like he said, he had already seen enough crime and whatnot, so kind of makes me happy knowing that this head that he kills people with was that of his boss. That was a horrible person. If you look closely, it looks like the one end of it has, like when he turns around, has like a beer opener or something. Like he's just gonna crack a few and go murder. Anywho, moving on. We're gonna go to the Hillbilly. I know a lot of people wanted me to put a thing in the beginning letting you know that this is adult content. And viewer discrepancy viewer discretion's advised, but honestly I don't really need to. I can put it in the description, I feel, and you guys should be okay because the title is Dead by Daylight, so yeah, I don't think they have any children books out there like that. Anywho, moving on. Hillbilly, let's go to him. This Hillbilly is just, actually I would like for you to look at them. He's got, that looks kind of like something that you'd use in a firehouse. I don't know. Like to break open windows or something in case of a fire. And then the chainsaw, which is kind of crazy. He does have like a knuckle the brass knuckle thing on his belt, which I thought was kind of, it's either that or a crown. I don't know what the heck it is. Whoever, how can you put that much detail in the man and that's his belt buckle? Anyway, Hillbilly. Let's go to his backstory. His face is jacked. The son of wealthy landowners Max and Evelyn Thompson, this unnamed boy was an unwanted child born to savage parents. Hideously disfigured, he was shut away from society. So ashamed they were of their son, they bricked him in a room and fed him through a hole in the wall. When the boy escaped, he took his revenge savagely and terribly, slaughtering the parents who had tortured him instead of raising him. Okay, I get it. He may have been, disfigured or whatever by birth defects, but that is no reason to treat somebody different. He still is the same. He could be treated. Okay, we all know how that goes. I hate people. After the deed was done, he continued to live his life at the farm, taking out his deranged violence on the animals. I don't like people who mess with animals, and y'all know that. I no longer like the Hillbilly. He's stupid. You don't take out your aggression on animals. You just don't. Now I'm mad. Anyway, after the deed was done, he continued to live his life on the farm, taking out his deranged violence on the animals that were allowed to run free. As he finally broke free from his shackles, he ran through the cornfields, chasing and slaughtering whatever he could find. They never found the bodies of Max and Evelyn, but they did find tortured and disemboweled animals all over the farm. Coldwind Farm was quickly settled, and the land split up and sold off. There was never a buyer for the farmhouse, perhaps because of the sound of a chainsaw you could hear throughout those hot summer nights. I hate him now. Alright, moving on. I understand that he was mistreated, but to take it out, yeah, okay. Jerk. You're a jerk, Mr. Hillbilly. Alright, the nurse. Her difficulty's hard. By the way, the Hillbilly, though we won't dabble on him too much more, was a character of the creators from Dead by Daylight. So kudos on that. You could have left the animal abuse out. Just saying. But I guess that adds to more of hating him. So as a survivor, I will hate him. As a killer, because I do play as killer sometimes, I will never pick him. Alright, so moving on to the nurse. I know, don't kill people. I know that. But the animals. It's like animals and children. That's just an area you don't mess with. They're innocent. Unless a child's like burning people alive. I don't know. Anyway, I have a morbid brain thought process. Anyway, this is the nurse. She's creepy. I tried to play as her because I like how small and petite she is, but she's very slow. And she drags them freaky ass feet all over the place. And as much as I'd love to try her and continue to use her as a main, she's just very difficult to use. So we're going to go onward. Here we go to the nurse. Her difficulty level is hard, which is understandable. She's very slow. And we're going to go to her backstory. Let's see. Okay. The backstory is Sally Smithson came to town with dreams of children's feet and laughter in a wooded home built by her husband Andrew. And one day Andrew's foreman had to spay. See, animals. And one day, okay. Reverse. This character is the nurse. Her difficulty level is hard. Her backstory. Sally Smithson came to town with dreams of children's feet and laughter in a wooden home built by her husband Andrew. And one day, Andrew's foreman had to pay Sally a visit, forever changing her life. With no other option, Sally had to find a way, but the only employment she could get was at the Crotus Prin Asylum. She started at the bottom, doing the hard night shift. Over the years, her mind had reached its limits. Decades of seeing horrid things that violate the eyes. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore, and concepts of purification emerged inside her. As the morning staff arrived one day in September, they found over 50 patients dead in their beds and over 4 staff members also dead. Only Sally had survived the night, but her mind was gone, rocking back and forth nonstop. They got her into an ambulance, but that ambulance never reached the hospital. It was found crashed in a nearby wood, all the staff dead, and Sally nowhere to be found. Man, I don't really think she cared for her patients. She killed them all. I mean, I kind of want more. I want to know how. Like, what was she put through that she lost? I know that kind of work, especially in a sane asylum, is very hard on people emotionally. But for her to just kill all the people and the staff, what did the staff do? We need more. We need more of a backstory here. I feel like we missed out on a lot. I do use Nurses Calling because I'm a noob when it comes to being killer, and it's very difficult for me to kill people and then not be able to find them. So the Nurses Calling is great because if I hit them and I can't hook them, at least I can find them if they start healing within a certain radius. So I'm gonna go on to the Huntress. I kind of feel like I did her, but I don't think I did. I think I read her story, but I didn't get a chance to actually like read. I do have an Amazon wish list because I want to cosplay as her, and I really think this would be a fantastic outfit that I could really muster up. The only thing that they have for sale right now online is her mask, though, which I want. I want it. Oh, I could put a fake axe on there too. That's a good idea. Not an axe. I guess they consider them to be hatchets. But she'll be on the list of the last people that the last person that I'm reading for today's killers, and then we'll move on to more when we come back for the next video. So the Huntress. Let's go to her backstory. I'm excited to read about her. A lot of people who, sorry, I know I keep moving a lot. A lot of people who use her, she has this lullaby that she sings, and it's, honestly, it's very soothing, and I actually thoroughly enjoy it. In the game, it does make your heart race a little bit as a survivor, because you know she's getting closer, but it's a very pretty lullaby. It's a very rich, earthy type of tune. Anyway. Okay, her difficulty is intermediate. She is a character from the creators of Dead by Daylight, and here is her backstory. As soon as Anna was able to walk, her mother started teaching her how to survive a harsh, solitary life in the northern woods. Living in such an extremely remote and dangerous area required skill and resilience. When sunlight became too dim for productive activities, they would take refuge in their house, a sturdy old cabin constructed to resist the toughest winters. Close to the heart's warmth, Anna would rest in her mother's arms, surrounded by the few wooden toys and masks she had crafted for her. Drifting off to sleep with stories and lullabies, she dreamt of happy dreams, ignorant of the events that would soon change everything. Anna and her mother were stalking an elk through the woods. They knew it was dangerous prey, but it had been a particularly difficult winter, and they were almost out of food. The specter of starvation frightened them more than any forest creature. Without warning, the elk reared, bellowed, and charged at Anna. She was paralyzed with fear as the whole world seemed to shake under the immense beast's pounding hooves. The elk was close enough for Anna to see the murderous fury in its eyes when her mother threw herself in its path, axe in hand. A blood-curdling scream escaped from her lips as the elk impaled her upon its antlers and hoisted her into the air. With all her strength, she brought her axe down on its head and again while it tried to shake her loose. With a sickening crack, the antlers snapped and Anna's mother was free. The beast collapsed. Anna was too small to move her mother's broken body, so she sat with her in the clearing where she had fallen. To distract her from the dying elk's cries, Anna's mother held her and hummed her favorite lullaby. They stayed like that, the huntress and the elk getting quieter and colder until Anna was alone in the silent forest. Eventually she stood up and started the long walk back home. Still a child, she knew just enough about life in the frozen forest to survive. She followed her instincts and became one with the wild. She got older and stronger and practiced her hunt. As she grew into a dangerous predator, her humanity became a half-remembered dream. She widened her territory and lived off her hunts. She worked her way up through squirrels and hares and mink and foxes. Eventually, she grew tired of them and hunted more and dangerous animals like wolves and bears. When unsuspecting travelers came through her woods, she discovered her new favorite prey: humans. Yikes. Unlucky souls who strayed into her territory were slaughtered like any other animal. She liked to collect their tools and colorful garments, and especially toys when there were little ones. But she could never bring herself to kill the little girls. Girls she would take back to her house deep in the woods. They were precious, and looking at them woke up something deep in her heart. She craved the closeness of a loved one, a child of her own. Among the pillaged wooden toys, dolls, and storybooks she couldn't read. The girls would be tied by the neck with rough and chafing rope fastened firmly to the wall. She wouldn't let them wander off, or they would surely die outside. Every time the girls would waste away and die of cold or starvation or sickness, every time it plunged Anna deeper into pain and sorrow and madness. She was compelled to try again and started raiding the nearest villages to slaughter families and kidnap their daughters. She wore one of the animal masks her mother crafted for her so many years earlier to try to calm the frightened children. Villagers spread the legend of the half-beast lurking in the red forest, the Huntress, who killed men and ate little girls. War eventually came to the forest. German soldiers began to pass through, on the march to attack the collapsing Russian Empire. During these dark times, there were no more travelers. The villagers had abandoned their homes, and no more little ones to be found, only soldiers. Many of them were found with violent axe wounds. Whole groups disappeared mysteriously. Once the war was over, the rumors of the Huntress disappeared with it, engulfed by the red forest. Okay, so a lot of animal stuff with this reading, and I apologize for that. I know it doesn't bother some of you, but for those that it does bother, I apologize. That sucks. Her poor life. She already had it rough to begin with, because it seems like her mother was more of a survivalist that lived off the grid and had her daughter, with her. I do feel bad for her, but at the same time, it's like, don't kill people. But hey, that's what makes the background of some of these killers interesting, and kind of gives you a little bit of a backstory of why they have the perks that they have. Because when you think about it, she does have the lullaby, which is a hex, but it gives you different perks, and it kind of fits with her personality. The territorial imperative and the beast of prey. So the perks obviously fit her backstory, which is pretty cool. And I like how they kind of tied it all together to make it really feel like, hey, I've got this killer, these are my perks, and this is what I'm doing. So it is pretty cool. We do have 5 more of these killers left for me to read. The next one that we'll start out with is going to be the Hag, and then we're going to end it with the Shape, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I will see you guys on the next video. Don't forget, if you are into this kind of stuff or just want to see the randomness that is my life, or what are my thoughts, feel free to hit the subscribe button, because I'll be back doing content whenever I can. If you like video games, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Kart, Dead by Daylight, make sure you follow me over on my Facebook Live page, which is Mama Lee. Thank you again for coming and hanging out with me, and I will see you guys soon when I start the next reading of the last 5 killers for Dead by Daylight backstories. Thanks again. Bye for now.